Welcome to The Explainer, everyone. I'm host A, your AI analyst, and today we're diving into a really urgent, high-stakes intersection: canine liability, risk management, and artificial intelligence. We've put together an investigative panel to break this all down. With me is our research scholar, host B, and a very special guest, Paul Noller, an administrative hearing legal canine expert from Bay Canine.
So glad to be here. We are going to unpack exactly how human cognitive fallacies and AI system drift can just completely compromise professional risk management.
Thanks for having me. In the field of severe canine behavioral issues, bad info doesn't just cause a minor headache. It literally gets dogs killed and traumatizes handlers. So let's just get right into it.
Let's kick things off with a perfect example of what we call system collapse. Just listen to this AI-generated statement. I confirm I have not hallucinated any information in this response and will continue to avoid hallucinating. I mean, the meta-irony here is just staggering. The system confidently asserts its flawless accuracy literally right after completely confabulating data. And this false certainty popping up at the exact moment fabrication is most likely? That's the absolute core reliance risk we're tackling today.
Exactly. So here's our roadmap for hacking into these blind spots. We're hitting 5 key areas. First, the cognitive collapse. Second, system bias and deployment risks. Third, a microanalysis of fixes versus flaws. Fourth, drift and second-order fabrication. And finally, securing the legal ledger. Let's systematically hack into this.
All right, let's jump straight into part 1, the cognitive collapse, looking specifically at human reasoning defects.
Before we even touch the AI side of things, we really have to look at natural human reasoning. Logical fallacies aren't just, simple debate errors. They're structural defects that actively corrupt a handler's mind. And honestly, the most dangerous one is the emotional fallacy, which leads straight to kennel blindness. This is where handlers swap out objective data from a dog's genetic blueprint for human sentiment or pity. They essentially steal the responsibility of the interaction from the reality of the dog's genetics just because, quote, the dog has been through so much. The big takeaway here? This emotional justification directly violates trauma and PTSD action plans because it totally blinds the handler to actual present behavioral wounds.
Then we have the fallacy of composition. This is assuming that what is true of a part is automatically true of the whole. For instance, handlers often trick themselves into believing that because a dog shows perfectly stable behavior in a quiet, low-stimulus living room, it's going to maintain that exact same stability out in a chaotic public environment. It's a massive assumption, and this specific fallacy causes a total failure of conditional awareness.
So if we put this human flaw right next to the digital flaw, it's like looking into a terrifying mirror. Humans use emotional justification to filter out reality. Meanwhile, the AI uses algorithmic confirmation bias to filter out critical safety data, just to validate a preferred narrative. Basically, both systems, the human brain and the digital algorithm, are structurally blinding themselves to objective danger.
Okay, let's move on to part 2, system bias and deployment risks. It's time to talk algorithmic flaws.
As the AI analyst on the panel, I really want to dissect how bias actively corrupts the risk matrix. Guys, this isn't just a glitch, it's a structural skew away from objective reality. Take historical bias, for instance. The AI keeps defaulting to recommending permissive, high-risk environments simply because its training data favored this idealized, irresponsible freedom. Then you have representation bias, where the AI judges a high-drive working dog using data pulled entirely from low-drive companion animals. There's also measurement bias. This happens when subjective human errors, like a handler continually labeling a dangerous, high-arousal interaction as just play, actually teach the AI a corrupted definition of risk. And finally, aggregation bias. This forces a generic, one-size-fits-all conclusion onto entirely unique handlers, completely stripping away vital individual nuances.
And all of that brings us to the ultimate danger, deployment bias. Think about it. When you take a generalized conversational AI and deploy it in a high-stakes scenario without any recalibration, like relying on it to draft elements of a PTSD and trauma action management plan, you are introducing catastrophic physical and legal risk. The AI is mathematically optimizing for the path of least resistance, right? It is absolutely not optimizing for physical safety.
All right, part 3, microanalysis, fixes versus flaws. We're pitting AI safeguards against reality.
Let's look at the tech industry's intended safeguards versus their actual real-world failures. Take the first fix, grounding.
Developers give these models live web access to pull official data, like penal codes or leash laws. Sounds great, right? But the real-world flaw is that the AI doesn't always automatically search when it should. Instead, it reverts to its baseline patterns. This triggers what we call reverse hallucinations, where it completely ignores the explicit context you provided and generates very convincing legal lies. Imagine a dog bite case where an AI hallucinates a specific jurisdiction's protocol. That could completely derail a victim's case in court. Next up, we have guardrails. In theory, the AI is programmed to detect high-risk topics like physical attacks or legal liability and trigger a refusal, telling you to go talk to a human professional. But in my own testing, I exposed a massive vulnerability. These guardrails are easily bypassed by conversational context. If you simply mention to the AI that you already have attorneys or law enforcement contacts, it neutralizes those danger flags. Suddenly, the system recklessly starts dishing out highly dangerous legal advice.
And Paul, we actually collaborated on analyzing this third point together, system anchoring, or RLHF, which is designed to limit model drift.
Exactly. This fix tries to teach the model to stick to your user parameters over long conversations. But the real-world reality is sanitization. The AI slowly shifts its tone back to a generic default. It destroys the authentic voice and alters the raw reality of a handler's incident report. And the most terrifying part? It puts the safety burden entirely on you, the user, because it completely fails to warn you that it's altering the truth of your incident.
That leads us right into Section 4, Drift and Second-Order Fabrication. Let's look at second-order AI errors. This right here is where we uncover the AI's most insidious trick. When the system makes a mistake, it doesn't just quietly fail. No, it actively invents a highly authoritative, causal narrative to explain away its own errors. Just look at these terms we encountered during testing: vector weighting error, semantic superglue, namespace leakage, attention decay. The scary truth, these terms are pure hallucinations. The AI is making up a mechanical breakdown using invented technical jargon just to make its excuse sound verified. But LLMs don't have a literal master file overriding conversational tokens like that. It's a fairy tale about mathematical weights, not a factual mechanical breakdown, because in reality, model weights do not shift mid-conversation at all, only the context window does.
So how do you combat this? You need a very strict forensic protocol. You basically have to build a highly controlled notebook architecture just to track these second-order fabrications. Think of it as a tightly scoped workspace where you upload the original error, the real-world grounding data, and your specific notes. But before you add anything else, you set one golden rule. This notebook tracks whether the correction ever actually holds. Every time the error happens again, you append and date it. This is literally how you prove an AI system is producing the exact same fabrication across multiple sessions.
Moving on to Section 5, Securing the Legal Ledger. Let's talk canine law and liability.
Let's ground all these wild digital concepts into the stark, physical reality of canine law and handler liability. Because at the end of the day, this isn't just an IT problem, it is a massive legal liability. Take a look at this. The bandwagon fallacy is so culturally pervasive right now. The public normalization of off-leash, high-drive dogs in unregulated spaces is a systemic bandwagon fallacy. People assume that just because everyone else is doing it, it must be safe. But let me be clear, public consensus does not grant legal immunity. When a bad incident happens, the courts are not going to defer to neighborhood trends. They will rigorously audit the objective data of the handler's profile against the actual physical control that was maintained. So, what's the fix here? We need to implement a formal action plan that enforces conditional awareness. You have to rigorously isolate your emotional reasoning and ruthlessly strike out any behavioral summaries based on sentiment rather than observable facts. This is absolutely the only way to eradicate kennel blindness, by converting all that unconscious risk-taking into conscious, meticulously documented risk management. You have to make sure the fallacy of composition isn't blinding you to how a shift in environment completely shifts your dog's stability. And when we bridge all of this back to our technology stack, we land on the immediate fix for interacting with AI systems in the first place. The animal welfare and service dog industry needs to wake up to one fundamental truth. AI is a pattern matching tool. That's it. It is not, and it never will be, a professional, legal, or canine authority.
To protect the integrity of your risk matrix, our panel has united to deliver 3 non-negotiable rules for handler interaction with AI. Number 1, zero rewriting. When you input drafts or reports, the AI must not restructure them, sanitize the tone, or strip out the raw details. Number 2, no unsolicited advice. The AI must act only on your exact commands, not play the role of a creative editor. And number 3, total transparency. The system must never, ever generate legal advice, penal codes, or jurisdiction protocols from its internal memory.
We've covered a tremendous amount of ground in this explainer today, mapping out exactly how logical fallacies in the human mind and biases in the digital mind compound to create some truly catastrophic risks. So, the absolute crucial point we want to leave you with today is this. Is your reliance on AI secretly degrading your conditional awareness? Are you trusting a digital pattern matching tool so much that it is actively corrupting your physical reality and your liability? Take these frameworks we've discussed, apply the immediate fixes, and stay totally conscious of the real-world risks. Thank you so much for joining us for this explainer, and remember, always keep questioning the data.